Welcome back to another episode of Sal and Pals Go to the Movies. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hey everyone.
And today we're going to be reviewing the new movie Venom. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. When Eddie Brock acquires the powers of a symbiote, he will have to release his alter ego Venom to save his own life. So, Touly, we went to go see this movie, and I don't know about you, but I didn't really have high hopes for it. So my expectations were kind of low, and I think I went into it having low expectations for a good reason. I'm gonna pass it on to you and see what did you think about this movie?
Well, I sort of went into the movie with low expectations too, not from personal research or coming across some article saying that this movie was going to be bad or anything. It was just the negativity I was hearing from other people. It was like through word of mouth that I kept on hearing, oh, this movie isn't going to be good or whatever. So because of that, my expectations were low to begin with. There were some justifications after watching the movie that placed those low expectations there. I wouldn't say the movie was as bad as what I was hearing people were putting it as, but it wasn't that much better too, though. For a quote-unquote superhero movie, it didn't really hit the mark in a lot of ways. And I think the one thing that this movie really suffered from or didn't do it justice was its pacing. In a lot of the films that we would review here on your podcast, I think most of the time I would say like there were certain areas that were like way too slow. But in this film, I feel like for most of it at least, it was moving way too fast. And because of this, characters' development really suffered, especially when it came to Eddie Brock, because Eddie Brock did not feel like or did not look like the Eddie Brock that I came to know from either the cartoon series or from whatever I knew from the comic books. I always thought that Eddie Brock was this aggressive, angry reporter. Like, he would do what's necessary to get the latest scoop, even if he has to perform some shady acts. In this film, despite their effort to kind of portray that, it didn't come across like that. So when Eddie Brock visited the Life Foundation and was trying to question Cart and Drake about them using humans as experimental subjects, and of course they turned him away instantly after he started to go down that route, Eddie Brock wasn't as resistant. And after he left the place, of course, his girlfriend got fired from her firm because it was her information or her classified information that Eddie Brock was able to go through and was able to come up with these questions because of it. But even then, after her losing her job and leaving Eddie Brock never really felt angry or anything. At least to me, he didn't feel he just felt like depressed, or he just felt sad, and like he just took it. He didn't react to it. He just took it, and then I just didn't see any fight in him. Because of this, when Venom, or when the symbiote latched onto him, the excuse that they used to kind of make it seem like this was a perfect fit was how Venom said that he was the loser of his kind, and how Eddie Brock was also a loser. That's how they justified how they were a match. Never mind the scientific aspect of, maybe, just his physique, his internal composition, it matches me. Never mind that. They're just going to use it. They're going to use the personality trait. This doesn't match the Eddie Brock that I know. Because had this been the aggressive, angry Eddie Brock, there would have been some backlash. Like, he would have gone on, he would have caused some havoc out there. I know they tried to portray him or Venom as some sort of bad entity, some evil entity, by having it killed people. But remember that the things that Venom ate in this film, they were all bad guys. And that to me doesn't seem to add any character to who Venom or Eddie Brock is while hosting Venom. Because that in a sense is just karma for, people being bad guys or, performing bad intentions. Compared to if while being in control of Eddie Brock, what if somehow Venom it kills an innocent bystander, or if Annie gotten hurt or the boyfriend had gotten hurt, then that would have caused some tension between Eddie Brock and Venom, I would assume.
Yeah.
Which would lead to more character development. So again, I would boil everything back to pacing and not them giving these characters the attention that they needed for us to believe in their actions, to see who Eddie Brock be the Eddie Brock that we know. I know that a lot of the stuff that happened to Eddie Brock revolved around Spider-Man, or should I say Peter Parker, who wasn't here in this film, but that doesn't mean that they could have used another character or some other event to get Eddie Brock to finally show his mean side. All in all, I wasn't impressed. I hope that they didn't just push this or try to push this movie out so that they could work on the second movie, which there appears to gonna be one based on the post-ending scene. But they should have gave this movie more attention to set up the foundation before thinking that way, if that was their the way that they wanted to go with this Venom storyline.
I totally agree with everything you said, but I'm gonna pick at it a little bit more. Okay, so let me go with down my list of cons. You mentioned some of my cons. Most of the stuff that you said, everything you said, it's dead on. Really bad character development. Not only Brock, but also Carlton Drake. He seemed like not a super evil bad guy that normally would come in a comic book. He seemed like a guy that's like, yeah, I'm doing it for science, do this. And I'm like, no, I wanted more like, I'm doing this. Yes, I know that they pitched out the idea that he's using human test subjects. Okay, but just because of that doesn't really mean that he's the bad guy that we want to hate. Make me hate him more. And also, Eddie Brock develop him more because we want, like you said, that rage-driven, angry Venom that takes over. And his girlfriend, Annie, I'm sorry, but Michelle Williams, like, your acting wasn't really there. I mean, I wanted to believe more, but you really didn't sell her, the character Annie. I mean, like, she had potential to be the link or the trigger that would actually push Eddie over the edge to become that, loose Venom, that we saw either in the comics or in the cartoon that we grew up with. You had potential there. Another thing is some of the origin that we got fed here, that the symbiotes came in a meteor, or because they got found in space. They're not really that accurate. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about is accurate. Let me go down the accurate stuff. Yes, the symbiotes come from their own planet. Their Venom is one of the principal main symbiote that we know. From there, we get the 4 offsprings that we see in the spaceship. We also see another one later down the line at the end of the movie. But all of these came from Venom. And in the comic book, and the origin is the offsprings are always stronger than the parent. So in that sense, Riot would have been stronger than, and he is stronger than Venom. But Venom is the parent. So he's the original, and basically they're just offsprings, derivatives from Venom. Also, Carlton Drake is, in the comic book, there is an arc where his foundation, Life Foundation, plays a big role in the series of the comic books. I think the arc came out in 1993. It's I can't remember the title. I think the title is The Lethal Protectors or Lethal Protector. So going off of those things, those are the only accurate things that I see in the movie. But other than that, having them in the movie and justifying like this is how they are, this is how they became to be, no, you really didn't sell it. Also, the whole point that the fight at the end, to me, it was this whole thing, like you said, it was really sped up at the beginning. And at the end, it came to the final fight, and that didn't last that long. It really didn't captivate me. It was over in less than, I can't remember, to me it seemed like less than a minute. They were fighting next to the rocket, and after that, it's like, it's over. Like, there was no build up to it. There was no danger that I wanted to feel that Venom was about to die, or he was doing it to save somebody, and he was not in danger. Nobody was in danger that Venom cared about. It was just he wanted to stop Riot. And the way that he did it, couldn't he have just let him get in the rocket and then at the end just blew it up like he did, like jump on it and cut it down or something? And also, like, my biggest thing is, if you talk about their weakness being high-pitched sound, yeah, Annie turned up the volume, but at the same time, isn't a rocket really loud? And for them to be fighting really close to it, wouldn't it be damaging them? this didn't make sense. My other critique about this is when Eddie Brock breaks into the Life Foundation with the other doctor, that she tells him, like, this is what's going on. I'm going to show you, take some evidence and put it out there. They break into there, and the next day she shows up like, oh, I don't know what happened. Everybody is clueless. The security guards, basically Drake is like, did anybody see anything? And I'm thinking, like, wait, for a foundation that's really high tech, you have security guards, you have state-of-the-art machines and everything, but yet you're lacking a basic security camera system that could have recorded who was in here, and you're just depending on who saw something, who was here. Like, really? Like, that's how this is working? You have fucking drones that are flying around trying to, find Venom with cameras, and you have soldiers and guards that have live feeds on them so you can see what they're doing, but yet you don't have any cameras inside the labs or in your foundation. No, was like really lacking in basic foundations of a storytelling. There's more things that I picked about this movie, but we actually talked about it in Touly's live stream reactor episode that aired on Sunday. So if you want to check us talking about this movie and complaining a little bit more, there's going to be a link down in the description so you can click on it and check it out. With that said, I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to give it our final grade. So Touly, what grade did you give this movie?
Before I give you my grade, I just want to give a preface on what I thought about the movie before going into, or the burning question that I had before I went to go watch this movie. And that was, who was going to be the villain of this film? Or should I say, were they going to be able to convince me that this villain that Venom was going to go against, or Eddie Brock was going to go against, were they going to be able to convince me that this guy was evil? And you sort of already alluded to that by mentioning how Carlton Drake wasn't portrayed in such a fashion. I think probably the agenda of this film was to push Eddie Brock or Venom to be this goody two-shoe guy, so that he's on one spectrum of the storyline. In this case, he's the protagonist, so that we could more distinctively differentiate his character from Carlton Drake, who of course who runs more on like the madness side of like being a scientist, wanting to quote unquote cure stuff by taking any means necessary by using human subjects. He's the quote unquote antagonist. Because they pushed Venom to be this goody two-shoe guy, as the way I have described this to folks who I've talked to about this concerning this movie, it really made me not like this film. Just for that fact alone. Never mind the girlfriend or even Carlton Drake or any of the other characters, the scientists who led Eddie Brock into the facility and there not being any camera there. Heck, they didn't even use the old cliche, but as cliche as it is, it's very smart strategy. The Life Foundation is filled with smart people, right? Carlton Drake, he's a smart guy, right? Why didn't he just go after Annie? So, use that as a bait to lure Eddie Brock to come to them instead of them having to chase him around.
And I think isn't that like in the Villain 101 handbook? I mean, that's basically the go-to trap. Get somebody they care about and have him come to you.
Yeah. So just talking about stuff that revolved around Eddie Brock alone, and the fact that this character, the character who was supposed to make the movie shine, that just suffered so much that I just didn't feel compelled to give this movie a good score at all.
Yeah.
Granted, like I said, it wasn't as bad as maybe people were describing it to me initially, but it wasn't that much better.
Okay, before you give the final grade, let's go back and talk about the two ending credit scenes. So let's start off with the first one, where we see somebody in prison, and who do we see?
Oh, you know what? When I saw Cassidy, I was like, okay, at least they're gonna introduce Carnage. I would have liked to see him more throughout the film, but okay. But having seen Woody Harrelson take on the role of Cassidy, aka Future Carnage, I wasn't thrilled because, yeah, my image of Woody Harrelson and Cassidy didn't just match. It just, I would have pictured somebody skinnier, who had a more serious personality, who maybe might have been, who should be on like the crazy side. Like,
yes.
on the brink of insanity, or if not already there, or who could portray something like that. Like Woody Harrelson to me doesn't scream those qualities to me.
I totally agree with you. To me, it was like, okay, we have this perfect character in the story, and this is who we casted. It doesn't really scream carnage to me. It doesn't really scream insane serial killer. It actually screams like, hey, he's gonna have fun with this role. He's gonna crack jokes, and that's not carnage for me. With that said, we know there's gonna be another chapter to this. And also, I think I agree with you that, and you agree with me that I would have liked Cassidy to be not at the end, but sort of in between the movie. We do at the beginning see that there's a missing symbiote that escaped from the wreckage. It made its way over to the prison, and how did it get there? And you know what? We're gonna have to wait and see how this progresses, how they develop this character. Hopefully, and I really hope that the story is a little bit better and organized and structured than Venom. Like you said, pace. Pace is the key. Let's talk about the second ending credit at the end of the credit scenes. As everything rolled, we got another little glimpse at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm actually excited for this animated movie that is going to come out in December. I don't know how you feel about it, but I am familiar with this from the comic books, and I really liked that we got to see other glimpses of the, I want to say, universe, because they're all combined. They're coming from different universes, and they're combining together to fight something, and we don't know what it is yet. I know that I think the world is coming to an end, and they're supposed to team up to stop the collapse or destruction of their universes. So how did you see the ending credit, and what you liked about it? What didn't you like about it?
I think had I seen what they showed at the end of the credits independently of watching Venom, I would have liked it a lot more. Not to say that I didn't like it. I actually enjoyed it. But I think my feelings towards Venom kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I went and when I finally saw that at the end. It was like, I wanted something a little bit more. I didn't want it like another promotion for the film. That's kind of like my reaction to it. It was good though. I mean, like I said, I didn't mind what they showed. Like I didn't think it was bad or anything. But while sitting through the credits scene, I was, just thinking, man, this movie was not good at all. And then let me just see what they're gonna show at the end, and then they showed this. It's kind of like, had they shown that at the beginning at the film or before the film, it was like, oh, that was pretty neat. Just like, I mean, they did show something like that, like in the trailer and stuff, but gave us a little bit more. Then I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Like, but because it was shown after the movie, and I was already thinking, man, Venom was so bad. It didn't give it the opportunity to shine in the light that it deserved. I guess that's the way I would put it. Like, I still liked it.
It's like when you're eating something, you have a bad taste, and then you get dessert. It's like, I have this bad taste already, but you're showing me something good, but you know what? I'm not gonna feel it. My palate is kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not cleansed yet. It's dirty. No, I think what they were trying to go for is like, how Marvel does it, where the movie ends, but they lead off with another movie, which is from another franchise. Let's say it's from Iron Man leading to Thor or something. It's a little teaser. That's probably what they were doing this. But since it's a live action movie leading to an animated movie, I know it's from the same studio, but you know what, guys, don't do that. Like you said, maybe put it in the beginning before the opening of the movie. Have it like almost like what Pixar does, a short before the movie. That would have been a good place for it. Not after, when everybody's like sitting there, like you said, thinking, man, this movie was really bad. And you come up with this, which is an animated, short. For us, it's like a little glimpse into it. It was really good, but at the same time, have it at the end? No. Everybody's like either walked out of the theater already with their mind made up of the movie. I'm really excited to see this Spider-Verse movie. I really enjoyed that in the trailer before the movie, we saw a bunch of other spiders coming into the... we saw the Spider-Noir. We saw Spider-Gwen. We saw the Spider-Man that we know, and Miles Morales. And I think there was another character there that's a little cartoony. He's a little pig. He's not from Spider-Pig from the Simpsons movie, but he is part of the storyline. So with that said, we're going to give this movie, Venom, our final grade. So Touly, take it away.
Easily a 4 out of 10. And that's very bad in my book when it comes to superhero movies, particularly in the Marvel or DC genre. If it was a decent movie, it would easily be in like the 7 range. If it was like a movie that really made an impact on me, that was very memorable in a lot of ways, then I wouldn't give it any grade lower than a 9. Yeah, this film was like a 4. So hopefully that give you guys some perspective on how bad this movie was, at least in my opinion.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it a little higher than you. I'm gonna give it a 5.5 to 6 out of 10. The reason I did this is because there was a bunch of little Easter eggs in the movie that I saw. One of them being that one of the astronauts that survived is the son of Jamerson, which we know from the animated series. He is an astronaut, and that was kind of a nice Easter egg that I saw. There's a bunch of other references to the actual universe of Spider-Man, but he's not really in it. So I kind of gave it a little higher grade than that. But still, this is a movie that I do not recommend anybody to go see in the theater. If you really want to see it, wait for it until it comes out and either rent it, don't buy it. The only reason I would say anybody to buy it is if you're really fan of Spider-Man universe, there's going to be a Blu-ray that's going to come out, and Tom Hardy already said that they're going to have at least 40 minutes of deleted scenes that he has raved about that are his favorite and they got cut. So if you really want, just go rent the extended version that's going to come out on Blu-ray. Watch it. Don't waste your time going to the movie theater and watching this. It's not worth it.
Or better yet, just go watch the third Spider movie if you want to see how Eddie Brock kind of should be like Eddie Brock.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. So that does it for this review of Venom. Please join us next time when we review Halloween. And social media is down in the description, and hit us up if you have any questions. And remember, keep watching movies.